Good evening. This is Dr. Ellithorpe with Tustin Longevity Center, Ask the Doctor, and this is May 30th, 2023, and the day after Memorial Day. I hope everyone had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, extended weekend. You got some exercise in, you got some fellowship and family and love in, and hopefully you all went to your church and thank God for our many blessings on Sunday. And so I want to welcome you today to our Ask the Doctor Anything. We are a clinic here at Tustin Longevity Center in Southern California, and we are a group of 6 physicians, soon to be 7, 8, or 9. I'm not sure how many of the doctors we're interviewing will be hired, but we will be having a pediatrician and another gynecologist. Dr. Mitchell will be going up to San Francisco with her husband's work, and her children are all out of school. So this is the move they've been waiting on, but she'll continue with some telehealth visits. So she really isn't going to be completely gone. She'll continue with us on our monthly conference meetings where we do grand rounds and go over patient cases and articles. We also will be probably having a, I'm not exactly sure the title, but a family therapist for emotional, spiritual counseling, well-grounded, and we will have a possibly a rheumatologist working with us from time to time. And it looks like we're expanding. I pray to God for his wisdom and direction as we get more and more specialties here and more healthcare providers that love their work and they love their Lord too. So here we go with today. We will be looking at the chat group here. If I see a question there, I'll defer from the write-up and I'll go to the current chat video where you can type a question in if you're on YouTube. The other thing is at the bottom bar here at the end, you can look under the section where it'll say show more information. And you can see the website where you can click on it and get on the email list, and we can email you information and about each weekly meeting. There also in the email is a link. That link then will give you a site to type in your email questions. I'd like to make a comment about the email questions. This is not meant to be medical advice for personal situations. This is general advice we have, and we are not trying to practice medicine over the YouTube, so this is for educational purposes only. We also would ask that if you're putting in paragraph after paragraph of description of your medical health, this is really a situation where you should be seen and managed locally. And there's so many other questions that come in. The longer and the more information you're getting into in detail, you're trying to turn this into personal medical advice, and we will not do that. I will go over it. I did have a chance to look at one situation, and I'll give you some of my insight on that. Carrie had asked me on the email, since we don't have any chat questions, apparently she typed in her question at the very end last Tuesday, so when they downloaded these questions, it was after we had already downloaded them for the evening, because I don't get these typically ahead of time. I get them, minutes to just shortly before the airing. Anyway, she was having terrible stomach pains, and she describes, her situation. It had started after a meal. Normally she tries to eat very healthy and stays away from gluten and dairy, and she had tried some remedies and charcoal. With that, she did mention that her bowels were moving and it was helping her with some of her stomach discomfort. And she then added another addition to that today that was a follow-up, and that her pain had continued through the week. And she did see an urgent care doctor, and they didn't know what was going on. So she went to her primary doctor, which is appropriate, and they are doing some lab work. So once again, she's asking me basically, do I have any ideas what's going on? Her background medical history, she reports, is having rheumatoid arthritis, and she tries to eat a paleo anti-inflammatory diet. She also had some dental work done, and maybe some of the drilling or the plasticizers used on some of the adjustments they were doing to her teeth had a side effect of giving her a GI upset. But the concept here is pain that is persistent, discomfort that is persistent, needs to be followed up. When we're talking about pain situations or abdominal pain, one of the things that I would need to know is, your family history. Do you have a family history of colon cancer? Could this be difficulty with a structural component of your gut? Could it be a torsion, a hernia, an umbilical hernia with a torsion of the intestines? Could it be diverticula going into diverticulitis? What is the white blood cell count? Have you had a colonoscopy? Have you had your stool tested for blood? So there's so many questions with these chronic and persisting pain situations. It isn't something that would typically be approached here on some a venue like this. You would have to see your doctor. So I'm glad, Carrie, that you went. I'm glad that you saw both the urgent care and your primary care doctor, and that you are doing lab work to follow through on this. I would say what we tend to do is follow our patients. The recommendation for a colonoscopy is now dropped down to age 45 because colon cancer is a silent risk. The first symptom, even after it has developed and metastasized, can be acute abdominal pain. And so, of course, I would want to know your age and your family history. And did you have a colonoscopy and how long ago? And you can still have stools that seem to be normal, although there would be a problem. So please follow up with your primary care doctor and your labs and any imaging and exams that need to be done. And the thing that we would suggest probably is fasting on a clear liquid diet for 48 hours, where you just totally rest your gut and you only drink water and chicken broth or beef broth, not bone broth, chicken broth or beef broth, which is just the clear see-through liquid with the salts in it, and a little bit of the fats are left in it. And that alone, with water, resting your bowels completely, we would encourage a probiotic. We use a powdered form of it, of our orthobiotic here, and the vitamin D, which is 10,000, and then a multi-mineral with the magnesium, which tends to be relaxing to the smooth muscles. And when we watch this over time, we have a powdered magnesium called OptiMag Neuro and Vitality C, vitamin C powder in water. It's resting the bowel, giving relaxing minerals, giving vitamin C to assist with motion of the bowel movements. It allows the bowel to rest, which would expel the gas, pain, and pressure. And the vitamin D helps boost the immune system. And we would just follow from there. That's what we recommend for almost all acute new onset abdominal discomfort, whether it's with diarrhea or constipation, resting the bowel and fasting for 48 hours with plenty of water and chicken broth, bone broth, with vitamin D 10,000 and with vitamin C powder and magnesium powder and the probiotic powder. And then that gives enough time to get you in, get some lab, get a urine sample, various things. All right, so that's the one question there. Hopefully that's of some help to you, Carrie, and we do pray for you, and we pray for wisdom for your primary care doctor and a good workup. Deanne has the question next. Dr. Rita, thank you for the generous use of your time to answer all of our questions. Thank you, Deanna. We appreciate you so very much. Thank you for the kind statements. Are you familiar with the product GTA-Forte II by Biotics Research for the use of thyroid issues? Yes. My niece has taken it for a number of years and has had good thyroid numbers and feels great. She saw an endocrinologist recently and she wants to put her on levothyroxine, which is Synthroid or Trilocin. The reason for this was that the supplement may suppress her thyroid from making its own thyroid hormone. What is your opinion of this natural supplement versus levothyroxine? Well, levothyroxine will suppress your own production thyroid stimulating hormone. So that's kind of a funny justification. Maybe we misunderstood what the doctor meant, but levothyroxine is primarily T4. T4 is a precursor. It has 4 iodine molecules on the thyroid hormone. It becomes active when one of them is removed and it becomes T3. T3 is the active thyroid hormone. GTA-Forte II is a supplement that is often used by non-physicians because it is a very low dose. So one of the sneaky ways of getting away with practicing medicine with prescription medicine is to make a low dose so low that it is considered basically over the counter. If you use thyroid, desiccated thyroid from the pig, usually it's from the pig, and you use it at 30 milligrams, usually more. I think 15 milligrams also is another consideration. But anyway, there's about 20 milligrams of desiccated thyroid in the GTA-Forte II, which is a very, very low dose. It also has things in it, I think, like selenium that helps the thyroid, other nutrients and minerals supportive of thyroid function. So it should be helpful for mild thyroid, hypothyroid function. So we can understand that it would have been a help. I do like that over Synthroid or levothyroxine. Now, I don't know that your niece's situation. I don't know, her current numbers or how many of those GTA-2 Forte she was taking. But I would suggest to her that she ask her endocrinologist for the most natural form of thyroid replacement, which is NP thyroid, glandular thyroid, or nature thyroid, which is glandular thyroid, or armor thyroid, which is glandular thyroid. There isn't anything special about levothyroxine. In fact, there's been a court case for many, many years where the makers of Synthroid sued Armor Thyroid, I think, because they said the variability of the glandular thyroid for the T3 component was too variable. And actually what they found out was Synthroid in that study in the late 1990s, the T4 was much more variable. So just trying to package and own products to market as a pharmaceutical company is really the drift. They don't really care how good it is. I have increasingly less and less respect for pharmaceutical companies. But anyway, so T4, Synthroid, levothyroxine, Triacint, these are all T4 type products primarily. And you still have to metabolically convert it into the active T3, which may be a problem. So I like just using the natural way it comes in whole glandular and use it that way. Hopefully that'll be helpful, Deanne. Juan says, hi, Dr. Rita. Thank you for all you do for your patients and non-patients. Thank you again for that comment. The information you share is invaluable. Well, we consider you people invaluable. God made you and you need to be cared for. My father, 80 years old, was diagnosed with prostate cancer about a year ago, and he also has Parkinson's, thankfully pretty mild so far. His triglycerides are also elevated, probably too many carbs. That's correct, Juan. He's eating too many carbs and not as active. What approach would TLC take with a patient with such a profile? Most men, by the time they're 80, 85, will have prostate cancer. If you did autopsies on every man above the age of 80, I would say nearly 100% would have some tissues on prostate evaluation that are consistent with prostate cancer, save for women. So age-related changes are associated with this. Now, we would certainly encourage the very low carb diet and very rich protein, more carnivorous keto-like diet, because as you get older, your muscle mass is going away, your ability to digest is going away, and you need to make the white blood cells to fight infection, to repair tissue. We would also use high-dose vitamin C intravenously with EDTA chelation to improve the circulation to the prostate. We would use systemic enzymes on an empty stomach to try and disinflame the prostate as we perfuse it and try and chew up any blockages that would promote hypoxic tissues and aggravate this cellular material that is becoming cancerous. We would also encourage a multi-mineral rich in selenium and zinc. We would also encourage the vitamin D to get up to a level of 80 to 120, a vitamin D3K2, roughly 10,000 to 20,000 international units with K2 90 micrograms, MK7. We would also encourage the patient to, follow up with their oncologist and to be managed appropriately as designed by the specialists. But our supportive care to build the immune system, to improve the microcirculation, detoxify, improve the immune system with vitamin C, and improve the natural killer cells with the vitamin D and things like the high-dose vitamin C. These are how we would approach it. There's a value to blocking estradiol. Estradiol can be blocked with anastrozole, and very often they use hormone blockers with this, so we are supportive of that. But that's how we would begin one. Michael says, does raw milk and raw kefir have systemic enzymes? Raw kefir and raw milk have all these healthy bacteria in it, and these healthy bacteria are supportive of producing certain enzymatic actions in our bodies. And so in that sense, it is supportive of systemic inflammation being reduced through the action of these healthy bacteria in the tremendous organ of your gut biome, all those trillions and trillions of cells in your microbiome. We still think that a separate systemic enzymes like systemic enzymes, Vascuzyme, Vitalzym on an empty stomach once or twice a day is very, very valuable, plus plenty of water. So yes, the answer is yes to you, Michael, but more or less through the action of the healthy bacteria that have these enzyme activities that are rich in the raw milk and kefir. Michael asks, does a person on the ketogenic state hinder cancer? Yes, in the sense that we believe that insulin is a very powerful growth promoting hormone. Anytime you eat any starch, carbohydrate, nuts, seed, vegetables, salads, anything with starch, carbohydrates in it, will have an action to make insulin go up. Insulin is a growth promoting hormone. The reason is that insulin tries to get the sugar to be opened up and accepted into the cell for metabolism. Unfortunately, Americans tend to eat way, way, way too much starch, sugar, carbohydrates, and fruit sugars every single day of their life. And this creates a constant high response of insulin. And even the baseline insulin eventually gets to such a higher anticipatory level, just assuming the minute the human being wakes up, it's going to eat a high carb diet. So the insulin levels are always high. So that a secondary effect, besides trying to get the insulin into healthy cells for metabolism, there's so much insulin in the body, it can indiscriminately promote the metabolism and growth of tumorous cells and cancer cells and fat cells to get fatter, and the thickness of the intima of the arteries to get thicker, as to make your blood vessels stiffer and thicker. So yes, through that action, we think we're avoiding the cancerous changes that would tend to occur. Connie says, hello, I turned 50 years old and want to know what I can take for menopause. Well, Connie, you need to be seen by a doctor. There are many questions. I don't want to give hormone natural replacement to anyone if they're not going to be on a low carbohydrate diet and lifestyle. I don't want to give it to anyone who's going to eat late at night on a casual, haphazard pattern. I don't want to give hormones to a person who won't exercise. I don't want to give hormones to someone who won't use systemic enzymes, because the older you get, the less systemic enzymes you have, like you were full of them when you were very young, a child, teenager, young woman. But as you age, these enzymes decline, and therefore they associate clotting more with old age and with the hormone status. So I won't give hormones to someone if they don't drink enough water every day of their life. So if you are going to do natural hormone replacement, estradiol, progesterone, testosterone, dihydroepiandrosterone, DHEA, we need you to have a lifestyle that reflects the same amount of care and concern for the use and prescription of these natural hormones. And then you would have to agree to allow us to monitor that every 6 months. We don't want this to go without, a pelvic exam, breast exam annually, or at least every other year, without getting a bone density or certain imaging studies that are appropriate, maybe an ultrasound of your uterus. We want to do these things to do the best we can and have the best outcomes and long-term benefit of these hormones. So that's what I would do, is find a doctor who will do those things and monitor you. Another patient says, person, Jose says, is chelation helpful for an 85-year-old with atrial fibrillation and taking blood thinners? Most certainly it is. Anytime you improve the microcirculation, you're reducing the resistance that blood is facing when it's pushed out of the heart. And when you have atrial fibrillation, the efficiency of the flow dynamics from the atria, the top of the heart, into the lower part, the left ventricle in particular, to eject that blood out with a good volume and efficiency, becomes hindered. So anything that will improve the left ventricle ejecting out that blood that has been oxygenated to the rest of the body, anything that will reduce the stickiness of the blood, because when the top chambers are not working properly, they're kind of quivering, they're not clearing out effectively, then blood can get into these turbulent little circular flow dynamics, bump each other and become sticky and make clots. And we don't want these clots. So we need, that's why they give the blood thinners. And that's why our first question to every one of our patients is, how much water do you drink every day? And we push it. Then the next thing to know is that EDTA chelation improves microcirculation, and it is associated with platelet activation. So it decreases the stickiness of the platelets. So it is, in a sense, EDTA chelation is itself a very mild anticoagulant. So that, along with a low sugar diet with water, with systemic enzymes, motion, getting up, walking around, EDTA chelation is what I recommend for all my patients. And even if you don't have AFib, reducing the oxidative inflaming damage of heavy metal toxins is what we need. I see some questions popping up on the live chat, so I'm going to go there. Rosa says, hi, Dr. Rita. My 10-month granddaughter has a rash on the nape of her neck since she was born. Pediatrician said to change the shampoo. It's not better. What can we put on it? Cortisone cream? Oh, I wouldn't use steroids. Usually, this is associated with the cell membrane. Remember, a healthy cell membrane has protein and fat and is very beautifully sealed and protective. When you get a hole in the membrane and the linkages allow this to be in connection with the outside world, irritants can come in. So usually the baby is not getting enough fat, the essential fats. So we have that liquid form of parent essential oil, and I would either get a capsule of it or capsule. What I did for my grandchildren and others is, these are essential oils. They're all natural, and it's what makes up the lining of the area here. We pop open a capsule and then just rub that over the rash, whether it's eczema, whether it's psoriasis, anything like that, dry skin. And we'll put a few, like a half teaspoon in the baby's food every day. It doesn't taste bad like castor oil. Castor oil is not the essential fatty acids that the human body and cell membranes need either. So that's how I would do it. And I wouldn't bathe the baby every night. I would let the baby's skin be natural and seal up. I would wash the buttocks and groin area and the hands and the face, but I would leave the nape of the neck less bathed and away from all this soap and stuff. Most children don't get daily baths anyway throughout the world. So this is an invention of marketing. So that's how I would go. The next question is Garden Fairy 351. Could eating foods that show severe reactions on a KBMO test affect blood pressure? I'm not sure what a KBMO test is. That's probably a food allergy test from the IgG, because there's all sorts of new companies starting to do this. Yes, it could affect your blood pressure. Thyroid nodules with Hashimoto's, yes, it could affect that. My gut barrier results were good. Well, good. So someone that you're seeing is trying to probably do a D-manus lactulose test, where you drink this and then you collect urine and you see how much passes through or not. And there's stool tests, there's blood serum tests for immunoglobulins. Not all tests are equal. Not all testing companies are as reputable. This is a growing need, but it needs to be managed by moral God-fearing people who realize the cost of these tests and how important it is. Plus, a doctor who has sincere intentions to help walk you through this through an elimination diet. Now, the greatest elimination diet there is a carnivore diet. So that would be something that you might think about going carnivore and see if your thyroid antibodies improve right away, your blood pressure improves right away. You need to make sure your vitamin D levels are somewhere around 80 range, and you need to be on a multi-mineral to get your minerals in for your blood pressure. And you need to be on a methylated B complex, somewhere B50, B100s, to get the pyridoxine vitamin B5 methylated in. These tend to help very, very much. So even my carnivore patients, I have on methylated B complex, which we have here in test. We have them on the multi-mineral that are amino acid chelated. We have them on a elimination diet or a carnivore diet. We push the water. We tell them to put a little bit of Himalayan salt every time I make a glass of water, like this from my list here. I'll take a little, dash of my salt and put a little dash of it in, one little half twist. So I'm always getting these trace minerals, and there's as many as, I think 80 trace minerals that they have found in these mountain salt beds and so forth, and deep subterranean beds. Let's see, what else do we have here? Noons09. Hi, Dr. Rita. My 13-year-old son is dealing with a case of vitiligo. That's an autoimmune phenomenon that attacks the melanin-producing cells. Pediatrician suggested a derm appointment. He has seen derm doctor in the past, but all they recommended was steroid cream, UV light treatment. Well, I would find out your child's blood type. I would, if I were seeing a child with vitiligo, I would have them only shower or bathe with Selsun Blue shampoo. It's a selenium-rich 1 or 2% selenium. That's all I've used all my life is selenium-based shampoos. And not to bathe too frequently. I would put them on a carnivore diet, and I would give them the vitamin D and do the gut stool to look at inflammation in the gut and food allergies, and help them to understand how serious this diet is and messing up all these children with autoimmune phenomena. So that's how I would approach that for a adolescent with vitiligo. This is an autoimmune phenomena attacking the melanocytes that give color to the skin. He has patches on his knees, elbows, fingers, eyelids, and a little around his mouth. Yeah, well, you see all these areas that you're constantly touching where there's micro trauma all the time. This is where the greatest cell micro damage is. So you get these little pokes in the hole there of the skin, and the micro trauma and the repair rate is diminished with the gut low-grade inflammation from the foods. I'm sure he has food sensitivities, leaky gut. I'm sure he has the likely low vitamin D, that his blood sugars are too high. And remember, the routine labs allow way too high blood sugars, way too high hemoglobin A1C, way too high triglycerides, way too high insulin levels tolerated. You need to have those lower. So there you go. Sean the Baptist, how much have you looked into grounding, and have you seen positive clinical results with respect to inflammation, blood velocity, energy, sleep, etc.? The answer is, Sean, I've done a lot. All the way even back from the 1990s when I was doing my second doctorate in integrative medicine at the Capital University of Integrative Medicine. It's now closed. I even taught there a little bit. But for about 10, 11 years, it was a very good school. It was a focal point to really kickstart doctors into getting a very serious worldwide exposure to all forms of healing, Eastern healing, Ayurvedic, Chinese medicine, and so forth. And energy medicine was a critical component of it. Shoes and all this kind of plastics and stuff is a new invention of the last, 100 years or so. And we are insulating ourselves too much from discharging our negative ions. So yeah, stepping in your bare feet on your fresh morning grass that has a little water dew on it that's connected to the soil will discharge your human body from negativity of these electrons. Going on the beach, walking in the sand that has the water coming into it with the waves. Any kind of regular ocean play is very valuable. And these grounding mechanisms are associated with this as well. So yeah, it's a very valuable thing. Catherine, hi Catherine. Hi Dr. E. She says, are there any issues in using salt in water for those that are concerned about high blood pressure? Well, that's why you have to have a grounded, trained, functional doctor who is going to know and be able to tell whether you're drinking enough water every day, half your weight as ounces of water every day. Then you can add some a dash of the Himalayan salt into every 16 ounces you pour for yourself. My cup here, when it's all the way full, is a 20-ounce cup, and so I use that. And I probably, if you add up all the dashes, it turns into a half teaspoon. So this 2.3 grams is on the low side, 2 grams limit a day. We probably need more. And if you're drinking enough water, if you are low carb, if you are taking systemic enzymes, if you're exercising, and you're not eating late at night, and especially if you do EDTA chelation therapy, really your salt intake needs to go up. So you need to go on the YouTube and look up YouTube titles like the value of daily salt, and then you'll see lots of credible physicians talking about the research updates on these things. There's a woman by the name of, she's a PhD in biochemistry. Her name is Rhonda Patrick, Patrick, Rhonda Patrick, PhD. She has an excellent article and a website called Found My Fitness. Found My Fitness. That's foundmyfitness.com. And if you just type in YouTube Rhonda Patrick, you'll see her name there, and her videos will come up. And then in the search area on her video where it says search, type in salt, and you'll see the lectures on that. It's very easy. Hopefully that helps you, Catherine. Say hi to the family. God bless you. Thank you for watching. And if this is valuable to you folks, please like and subscribe, share this with your friends, and see if we can help improve everyone's health. Each one of these doctors, I'm seeing more and more doctors all the time coming here for shadowing, and more doctors are putting out YouTubes and adopting the value of lifestyle medicine, functional medicine that, of course, we've been doing for the past 40 plus years. So every valuable thing you share and do makes a difference. Azar says, hi. Oh, well, you always are so sweet, Hashimi, where you say, hi, beautiful Dr. Rita. Well, bless your heart. Joanne says, I used grounding mat and have noticed a difference. Next, I want to get the grounding pillowcase. Yeah. There is a thing called a beamer mat, and these are not grounding mats. These are different than the grounding mat. The beamer mats have a well-researched energy flow that has a cycle that is in synchronization with the inside lining of blood vasculature to promote dilation. Okay, now that is so incredible, but it's real, it's true, it's research even in the agricultural business where they're trying to get more fluid to go up into the plant. You know, there's no heart pumping blood pressure in a plant. There has to be a way for that water to be drawn up. And some plants, you know, get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 feet tall, corn stalks and sunflower pillars. How does that water get up there like that? Well, there is a magnificent frequency and relationship between water and electricity and the membrane potential. And that's what has been discovered. This is the new direction of medicine, and it is valuable. Let's see, what else? Hashima says, when I hold my cell phone in my hand, I experience tingling in my hand, or when I sit behind computer, I experience tingling in my feet. Well, you are electrochemically sensitive. And so I would get a grounding mat for your workplace or at your desk. I would try and get your feet into the grass, the fresh grass dew every morning. If you have a sandbox, you know, with water, you can dump in it every morning. Get your feet in that sandbox every morning, just for, you know, a minute, and then come back in the house and wipe your feet off. There are crystals that have a counter energy to these 5G, 4G, and electronic waves. You can get the blue filters for your eyeglass wear. All these things are valuable. So look in YouTube and type into YouTube electromagnetic energy protection devices. And you'll see a plethora, whether it's for your office work or your home environment, all these kind of things. Ramon says, this is amazing information. Well, praise the Lord. God has made an amazing world and amazing human beings. Constance, have you answered my email question? Yes, I did, Constance. It's at the very beginning. You were the very first one I did. And so after this is done, replay this and go back to that, okay? And then let's see, how far have I gotten to? All right, so the next one is June. I have a 56-year-old friend who has developed peripheral artery disease in her groin, and she is in extreme discomfort. Would EDTA chelation be of help to her? Absolutely, yes, it would. But of course, it will be massively improved if she'll go on a very low ketogenic, low carb, or carnivore diet, not eat past 6 o'clock at all, drink half her weight in pounds as ounces of water every day, use systemic enzymes on an empty stomach morning and evening, and probably take a high mineral chelate thing like our TLC multi-minerals with the magnesium in it. That would be extremely helpful. And if she lives in the Boston area, what she needs to do is go to acam.org, acam.org. That's the website for the American College for the Advancement of Medicine, the oldest alternative independent physician organization in America that was built upon chelation therapy, freedom of the doctor and the patient relationship, all the way back from the 1950s and 60s. So this is the premier organization. I am on the board of ACAM for teaching chelation therapy. So acam.org, and you type in there your zip code, and they'll look for locate a doctor that has gone through our chelation therapy training. Maybe I even trained him. hopefully that helps you with that for her. Constance says, oh, maybe the other lady's question was Carrie. So here you go, Constance. It looks like I'm coming to your question. I've been taking 4 Vitalzym every morning for about 2 years. After the initial dose of 10 a day, headaches and neck ache returned. If I increase back to 10 a day, how long will it take for pain to go away? Wondering if Greek yogurt, triple cream brie could be causing inflammation. It's the only dairy I eat. Many blessings to you. Constance, I would go dairy free and wheat grain free or even carnivore for 2-3 weeks a month. I would not touch any grains or dairy at all. And I would go back on the Vitalzym 5 twice a day. And within the first 2-3 days, you should notice this. One thing you could do is go on a 48 hour, I would prefer a 48-hour water fast with broth, chicken broth or beef broth, not the bone broth, but the chicken or beef broth. And just let your whole system disinflame. And the enzymes take morning and evening, and you should see your headache and neck pain immediately respond. Patricia says, hello, Dr. E. My granddaughter is 3 weeks old, and her parents are thoroughly educating themselves on childhood vaccines. I would love to hear your view, and if you're aware of any vaccines that don't contain risky adjuvants. Thank you for sharing your very valuable knowledge. Well, thank you. It all is from God and from wonderful men who came before me to train me. And I'm trying to train other doctors. So I appreciate and covet your prayers for protection and for the ability to pass this on to the younger generation of doctors. So what would I say? One of the very first person to bring this really to the attention of the world was Barbara Fisher. Barbara Fisher is a mother who has a injured vaccine child from 1982. And she created the National Vaccine Information Conference. Let me just check something here. Yeah, the National Vaccine Information Center, nvic.org. That's Barbara Fisher. So she has faithfully over 40 some years been out there fighting this situation. Then I would go to children'shealthdefense.org, children'shealthdefense.org, and that's all one word. Children's plural, children'shealthdefense.org, and that is John F. Kennedy Jr. That's his website. And then I would go to Del Bigtree, 2 words. DEL is the first word. Last name is Bigtree, Bigtree. He has Indian heritage, and his website is called thehighwire.com. There you'll come along many well-reported information on the fact that the documentation of the safety and development of childhood vaccines has come under scrutiny, severe scrutiny, about the alleged inadequacies and risks and potential damages. You have to understand the National Vaccine Injury Act of 1986 came along because, along with Barbara Fisher in 1982 and many others, they saw their children hurt and they were suing the manufacturers of these vaccines. And they lobbied and pressured the government to create a law to give them protection against any lawsuit or being sued from their pharmaceutical product of vaccinations. What then happened was they went from 3 or 4 vaccines recommended to now we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 72 vaccination scheduled appointments for children all the way from birth through senior and high school, because they have no liability and because they make money on this, and it's promoted and mandated by government and state government education programs. It is a dream of any businessman to have government mandated and protection against being sued for your product. It's a dream. So the probability of corruption and greed and harm is so amplified, so that when you read this material, you'll find that the adjuvants and the research on them has so many questions that I cannot give an informed consent to recommending any of them because of all this exposure now out there. So those are some good ways to begin. And let's see, where am I at now? Okay, Dorothy says, why is Pilates better than any other forms of exercise? Now, I'm not going to say Pilates is better than any other form. I do both Pilates and I do heavy weightlifting. I do the weightlifting 3 times a week, and I do the Pilates twice a week. That's because Pilates is more of a range of motion stretching and endurance on holding these stretches against modest resistance. And so it's a range of motion and balance, which is not given in heavy weight lifting. So I think the two have to be done. Let's see, the next thing is Denise. Hi, Dr. Rita. Can you talk a bit about the effects of Huperzine on memory and cognition, and whether it has any side effects? Also, how much is recommended for a person in their upper 60s and older? Thank you for all you do. Your weekly broadcast has been so beneficial to me. God bless you always. Well, God is the author of all this information, and we give him the thanks. Huperzine is a available over the counter. We have it here in a product called Membrin, Membrin. That's for the membrane of the brain. And when 2 nerves come together, one has to secrete a neurotransmitter to hit receptor sites on the receiving nerve to be excited to pass on the information. So in that gap between the 2 nerves, when the neurotransmitter comes out, if you're constantly spitting it out, you can get depleted, especially if you're nutritionally depleted. And so there are enzyme inhibitors that help stop the breakdown of some of these neurotransmitters. And so Huperzine is a natural method of preventing, I think it's acetylcholine, from being broken down. Acetylcholine is one of the it's probably the least understood autonomic neurotransmitter associated with Parkinson's, associated with ALS, associated with MS, associated with so many sleep disorders, narcolepsy, probably seizure disorders as well. And it's dramatically linked to the entire gut microbiome and vitamin levels. And so Huperzine is very, very important and associated with helping preserve your acetylcholine level. And that's the unsung hero of health and part of your memory. How much to take? I can't recall off the top of my head how much to take. So Denise, I'm going to have to say the membrane in our TLC doctors.com. If you call our store, they can pull the bottle off and tell you how much is in there. I think it's just one capsule a day, and I have seen so much value from Huperzine. And what's the other one? Vinpacetine. That's another one that works in a similar fashion. And yes, we've known this, and I've used these natural things for years and years, and they're very safe and beneficial. I've really never, ever seen any negative side effect from that. All right, so that's the end of that page. And then the next one is, let's see, do we have any new? Oh, you're right, Robert F. Kennedy, not John F. Kennedy Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr. You're right. Thank you, from Children's Health Defense.org. Let's see, what else? All right, Garden Fairy also said, I look into the B vitamins. The KBMO test was offered at a discount through my school. It is blood spot and also tests for immune complex as well as IgG. I see Dr. Merrick at the end of July. Yeah, Garden Fairy, then I don't use that test. I'm not familiar with a KBMO. More are coming out. And so I'm sticking with the old tried and true, where I know over the decades, the owners and the character, and have very often I've visited these places, so I know their quality. Not to say there isn't a new one coming up, but I just stick with what I know works. Let's see, Ligia. Do you believe high dosages of vitamin C for detoxing is a good idea? And if yes, do you have a protocol? Well, yes, because I would say most of us are deficient in vitamin C. And in general, I think it's smart to go beyond the recommended daily allowance, which is just designed to prevent the disease scurvy. So how much is beneficial? Typically, what we have is a powdered vitamin C called Vitality C here. And one scoop has 4 grams, which is 4,000 milligrams of vitamin C in it. And if you take that and you don't get diarrhea, and then you take anywhere from 1 to 4 scoops. So you take anywhere from 4 to 16 grams of vitamin C. Most people can't take that much vitamin C. And that vitamin C will produce diarrhea. But very often you can build up a tolerance to this. And vitamin C is involved in so many human biological beneficial activities of anti-aging and detoxification that it's, I don't have time to even list it here. But yes, so use your vitamin C and try and build up your bowel tolerance and see if you can handle at least 4 grams a day is what I encourage my patients. And I know some people who can take up to 20 and or more grams a day. But yeah, it helps with detoxification. And let's see. Sean the Baptist says, polyrhythmic music abounds in our modern society. Could you briefly discuss the negative physiological effects and the importance of protecting ourselves from it? Yeah, there are vibrations, and these vibrations impact us whether you like to know it or not. For instance, if you have ever read about this, you can go to YouTube and see a demonstration of this. If you go to a heavy metal rock concert and you take a raw egg and you put it in front of the speakers, within a minute or two, that egg will be cooked from the intense and amplification and the frequency of the vibrational waves that come from that music. And then if you make them desynchronous, now, in other words, waves should go in rhythms. And if you introduce something intermittently that's desynchronous, it is irritating to the physiology of living cell membranes, and it can break them up and disrupt them. just like it can cook an egg. So it isn't innocuous to be in heavy metal, hard metal, loud noise, banging, dysrhythmic music. That's why we have so much research that shows classical music, the church hymnal music is so brain enhancing for focus and cognition. So yeah, that's a very important thing. All right, let's see. It's 7 o'clock, so I need to get some rest. Carol, let's see. RFK Jr. and Del Bigtree are truth. Thank you for informing the people about him. Amen. Dr. Rita, my husband would like to know if you know anything about H3O2. That is water with an extra hydrogen, and I know a lot about that. In fact, we have a book. I drink it all the time. I helped Bob Centenary, the author of this book, do some publications on hydrogenated water. And it just gets another proton, a positive. So if you want to ground yourself and discharge negative electrons, drinking H3O2 is getting a positive hydrogen in you. So there you go. So I'm going to end here. It is 7:01, and I didn't get through all the questions here. I'm going to have to annotate where I made it. I just got up to this. So I have these last 2 pages. Sorry, folks, but I do need to rest. And I'll see you next week, 6 o'clock on Tuesday, every Tuesday evening. And then hopefully maybe some of my other doctors can get involved in maybe doing something like this with me. And we'll go from there. So God bless you. If you find value, please like, please subscribe, please share this with, please put a comment. All these things help us. And go to the bar at the bottom, and you can see the link there for tlcdoctors.com. And you can ask about some of the natural products and resources we have, and our TLC store will help you. So with that, good night and God bless, and thank you all the men and women that have given their life for God and freedom and for Memorial Day. Thank you.